Welcome to the Cart Barn Podcast. I'm Chris Limley, joined by co-host Greg DeWalt. Today, we are excited to have Sam Farlow, a longtime top amateur, not only in the state of Alabama, but in the U.S., and just an exciting podcast for you this week.
Sam's got so many great stories from his playing days. It's really a treat to get to hear those and to hear him talk about how he got into the game and the success he had.
Yeah, Sam not only had some success early in his amateur career, then played professionally, and then once he got his amateur status back, was just extremely dominant in the amateur scene, especially here in the state of Alabama with numerous state titles.
Yeah, I think what makes Sam so interesting is, he went into all those tournaments as the favorite, and he obviously won more than his share, probably. People would say. So let's go ahead and get into his story.
There we go. Sam Farlow on the Cart Barn Podcast. We are joined by probably the best known amateur golfer in the state of Alabama, Sam Farlow. Sam has won the state amateur 4 times, as well as other invitationals and events around Alabama and the Southeast, and even pretty good career nationally as well. Sam, it's an honor to have you, and welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you inviting me. I look forward to kind of sharing some stories and mostly telling the truth.
There you go. Well, Sam, tell us a little bit about the early years at the Country Club of Birmingham.
Sure. We joined over there when I think I was about 8 years old, and I always had a passion for the game, and we had a lot of really good players over there. Obviously, the best known person would be Hubert Green, who won the U.S. Open, won the PGA, was obviously already is in the Golf Hall of Fame. So we started playing golf together when he was a year ahead of me in school, but we played starting when I was 9 years old, and we played all the way until he unfortunately passed away all the time. So I got to watch Hubert and played a lot of golf with him in the high school and watched how he went from a good player but to a world-class player.
Mm-hmm.
And saw his work ethic and everything. And then we had several other players, Billy McDonald, Wilcox, several other kids, Barney Lanier, Bubba Major, other kids that actually played college golf. So, at Birmingham Country Club, we were really blessed with having a lot of really good players. And we had a great pro with John Guston. I don't know, Chris, if you remember him. He was, he was a pro's pro. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I did have the privilege of meeting Mr. Guston. Elvis worked for John for a
sure
time,
did.
and Elvis introduced me out there one time. And of course, I played against his son, Chris.
Sure.
Who was a fine player in his own right.
Really good, yeah. He played at Florida and was, won the Birmingham tournament once, and really great player.
Yeah.
Sam, what was it like growing up around those kids, being friends with them, but then trying to beat their brains out, and the competitiveness amongst y'all?
Well, yeah, definitely. I think Woody Austin made a statement. He says they had told him something about Hubert that Tiger Woods hated to make bogeys, and Woody says, "Me too." He says, "I don't know anybody wanting to make bogeys on the tour." But yeah, like you wanted to play your, best against them, and I think iron strengthens iron, so to speak. I mean, you play against good players. I think it improved your game too. So, but we were friends. Well, we'd walk over from the junior high school to the club and go over there after, summertime. My dad would drop me off in the morning to work and come back and pick me up that afternoon. We would probably play 36 holes and, go down, maybe hit a few balls, have a putting match and stuff. So all that kind of helped us develop our games. We were serious about it. Nothing like Hubert was. We had a little wiffle ball that we used to play in our yard. We'd have our own little course. We'd dig holes, and Hubert wouldn't do that. Just like I say, just having those kind of players was, really helped your game. You didn't realize it as much back then as you do now.
How was Mr. Guston to be around? Did he take an active interest in you guys?
Very much. Very much. You get more out of going up and watching him hit practice balls. But back then, we didn't have a range. You had a shag bag, and you'd either go pick your own balls up or you had a caddy that'd go out there and pick them up. And probably the easiest job in the world was watching Mr. Guston hit one irons, and the caddies, they wouldn't break a sweat because they were about one step and picked the ball up, one step one way or the other. I mean, it was watching him do that, you think, my goodness. I mean, it was intimidating. But he was great with the juniors for sure.
Do you remember your first set of golf clubs, what they were, and how you got them?
Yeah, the power builds. As far as a real set of clubs, I was about 10 years old. I had a kind of a makeshift set before that. It'd be 10, 11 clubs, and they're all different brands.
Yeah.
But I got a set of power builds, and of course, obviously the woods were wood and everything. But yeah,
were they laminated woods or persimmon?
They were persimmon. Yeah, power built. I don't know, Chris, you probably remember that. It was a very popular brand of clubs.
Yeah, they were.
Power built and McGregor, I'd say, were the two more popular brands. Spalding, obviously, I said Wilson, but they weren't as good. Back then, every club looked different. Now they mass produce and they all look identical, which is great. I mean, but you'd have to comb through. But back then, you comb through 7, 8 drivers to find one that's set down on the ground, even though they're supposed to be identical. They certainly weren't.
Yeah. Even when they first started making the metal woods, they had a lot of that same issue, finding one that was. But
sure,
yeah, they've definitely perfected that mass production these days.
Yeah, I remember the first metal wood I played with. Boy, it was the same size as a normal driver, and but boy, it'd go.
Yeah, they would.
I'd have to hit with about 1 or 2. I said, and then people would laugh. Back then people laughed at you. Then I played with the Lady Precept ball, which was the ball is designed the way it's a 2-piece ball. The same thing that the Pro V1 is now. It's the same thing, and but it was a good story. We were qualifying for the mid-amateur at Birmingham Country Club, and I was playing with Shaw Pritchett, who's really a good player.
Yep.
Now especially, he's won the senior a couple of times. But anyhow, we comparing balls in the first hole, make sure we got a ball. I said, I'm playing a Lady Precept. He was like, you got a skirt on and anything, blah. I said, well, and you play Birmingham. Number 1's a layup hole, and 2, he had hooked it off the tee a little bit, and then 3, we both hit real good drives. And I had really hit it solid, and we got out there, and one ball was there, and there was one about 20 yards further, and he started walking up to that ball, because, heck, I think I was about 45 at that time, and hell, he'd just gotten out of college, so he's thinking, hell, I hit it further than that. So I walk over that first ball, and I said, Shaw, this is you back here. we got 3 playing. He said, let me see that ball. Let me see that. So, but it was, I was always one. I'd experiment. Somebody say this, I'd take it out to the range and hit it.
Yeah.
And if it worked better, I mean, I was one of the first ones to go to a metal driver. And it, to me, I mean, was a no-brainer.
That Mid-Am was the one. Was that not the same one up in Hot Springs at the
It
Cascade?
was at the Cold Stick.
Which,
Yeah, right.
which
They played
you'd
both
gone
Cascades courses.
right. You'd gone out to watch Alabama in at the Rose Bowl, like one of the first games of the year, and then came back. And I was telling Greg, you and I were sit on the range there at Cascades, and all we talked about was Alabama football and how
Right.
bad we looked.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, that ain't changed much.
No.
When did you kind of decide, hey, I might can do something, in golf? Was it right off, 12, 13 or?
Well, I began at 12, 13 years old, somebody said, what do you want to be? Well, I'll be a professional golfer. But I think I had a real good summer my last year at college. I think I won 5 straight invitationals. And Chris, you remember back then, the invitations were a big deal back then.
Big deal. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were Aniston and Selma and up at Turtle Point was a big tournament, and Birmingham and Vestavia. I mean, you go out to play the finals, and a lot of them, hell, I mean, Selma, there'd be 400 or 500 people walking around watching. And I won, like I say, I won 5 straight tournaments, and I said, and Hubert had just gotten out there, and that gives you a little, Hubert says, keep working at it. You're good enough, So I would say really after I did that, I said I'm gonna give it a try. And it took me a couple of times to get out there, but I got out there in 74, 73 actually, but it started 74. And played for 2 years, played for that 74, and then 76 and 77. And then I was 30 years old, and back then, the whole prize wouldn't be a tenth as much as first place is now.
Right.
Literally, it's. To me, the caddies now make more money than we did.
Yeah.
Most of them make 7% of the purse and 10% of the if they have a win. Well, you imagine how much Scotty Scheffler's caddies made? Probably about over $1 million.
It has been.
Yeah.
So you qualified in 73 or 74 for the tour. Who were some people that were in that class with you?
Lanny Watkins was probably the best player. Trying to think who. Terry Deal was in that.
Crenshaw.
No, Crenshaw. The second time I had to go back and qualify.
Okay.
Crenshaw led it. We played at Perdido, and it was an 8-round qualifier. It was a marathon. We played there, then we went to the dunes up at Myrtle Beach. And Crenshaw was the medalist. He played great.
Yeah.
And Gil Morgan was in that class.
Yeah.
So, unfortunate, but, it just shows how hard it is. Those are the only 2 that really were real successful.
It is difficult.
Out of 20 players that qualified.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Was there an eye-opening moment for you when you got out there that thought, A, I've made it, but B, wow, these,
Oh, you can go out on the driving range and somebody that famous guy walk up next to you, start hitting balls, you'd find yourself watching them too much, and that was another thing about separated Hubert. Hubert didn't give a flip about anybody else. He says, I'm going to kick your butt, where, it's very easy to get awestruck and watching them hit. And then also, you try to pick up little tips, watching how they practice, Nowadays, you watch people hit practice balls, they always got some kind of a device on the range with them, for alignment or, everything. Same thing on the putting green.
Yep.
Was there, in the same vein, was there a moment you said, yeah, I can play with these guys?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, I was never a great putter. I hit the ball well. I drove it straight, and had fairly good distance, but I wasn't a great putter, and wasn't a great chipper. And it was funny. Somebody said, "Well, why didn't you work on your chipping?" I said, "Well, I was figuring I needed to hit more greens. I wouldn't have to worry about chipping." But yeah, but I got to where I was when I turned 30, and I got an offer to get into medical sales back in Birmingham. And like I say, the prize money back then, and there were a lot of people that were 38, 39 years old, or battling, and you had a Monday qualifying. If you didn't make the cut the week before, you had to go qualify wherever the next city was. Well, that if you were teeing off late Friday, you didn't know whether you're going to, and you're right on the cut line. If you made the cut, you not only you played Saturday and Sunday, you're going to make a check, but you're also going to be exempt the next week. So you'd have you'd have a reservation trying to get out of there either Friday night or Saturday morning. If you didn't make the cut, if you did, you cancel those. It was not a real good, equitable way.
Mm-hmm.
Sure to be right now, they don't do that anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Could you make more winning a Calcutta?
Yeah. Charlie Crinkle and I won the Gator Pro-Am down at Gainesville, and we had a little thing worked out. I said, Santa, biggest check I made down there.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So I think you played in the U.S. Open the year that Hubert won, didn't you?
I did, 1977.
Tell us that story.
Well, I mean, shoot, I was on the leaderboard after 8 holes. I was 1 under par, and I played pretty good, actually. I shot 148. I think I shot 73, 75. Missed the cut by like 2 or 3 shots. But Hubert was funny. Joe King, you probably remember Joe.
Yep.
Chris was a USGA official and lived in Alabama. And Hubert was asking him the whole time because I needed to make the cut to keep my card.
Mm.
And he was asking Joe, he says, "Well, how's Sam doing? What are you hearing?" I said, "Shit, he's trying to win the U.S. Open, and he's asking about me."
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I played there, and I played at Oakmont up in 83. And that was after I'd actually got my amateur status back. And
How was that experience?
it was hard.
Yeah.
And Johnny Miller shot 63 on that golf course. I can't even conceive of it. You know, I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, you watch that. I mean, having the experience of playing there, and you watch with the new equipment and the new balls and everything, where we were hitting it at Oakmont and where they're hitting it now, it's like a different golf course. It
Yeah.
really is. But it was hard. Greens just really fast. You know, and then you're not used to that. It becomes a hard to develop a touch in 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
What was the experience? You know, you mentioned you'd won 5 invitationals in a row at one point. What were those experiences like? And again, the fields were pretty outstanding in most of those. I know Mr. Crinkle's got his name on the BCC.
He sure does. You know what's funny about that? He won it from the B division, which he shot 68, 66 the last 2 days. And they didn't really know what to think. He says, "What man? He was in the B division. Can he win the tournament?" And everybody said, "Well, look, if he's got the low score for 72 holes, he can." And but fields were good. There weren't near as many, for whatever reason, of college kids. They were mostly people like Frank Vines and Joe Terrell, Donnie Blanton, people like that we played with all the time, and were actually working and would play these in the tournaments. But we didn't have as many college kids. Nowadays, if you look at these tournaments, I mean, a lot of them, that's why they don't have tournaments anymore. I think, Chris, is that, people would like to play with, mid-amateur players.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is a who's who, especially from Alabama's standpoint, of the names on that Birmingham Country Club Invitational.
Yeah, I'm proud to have it.
Yeah.
Proud to have it. It really is.
Yeah. And now you played with Mac too, didn't you?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Not a lot. He was 2 years ahead of me. And he was a member out at Shoal Creek when he got off the tours, and I played a couple of practice rounds with him out on the tour and with Hubert.
Mm-hmm.
So, and tell you a good story about Hubert, how his dry sense of humor. We were talking over at the club probably 7-8 years ago, and we were talking about it. I said, "Yeah, I missed about a 4-footer to miss the cut at this one tournament." And I said, "I remember that putt." Somebody asked Hubert, he says, "You remember missing a little 4-footer like that?" He says, "Not to make the cut." Hey, it was a little jam. I said, "All right, I got you.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Did you guys hang out on tour at the stop? Did the Alabama guys kind of buddy up, or not so much?
Not really. I used to would go get a bite to eat. Sometimes Hubert and I would. I don't think I ever went out with Mac to eat. Mac, he'd order room service when he wouldn't go anywhere. Mac did not like traveling at all, and that's really why he got off the tour. He had his degree, he was a CPA, and went to work, I think, with A.G. Edwards, and it was ultra successful with them. And but he was not a much guy like. And anyway, just a lot of people left the tour because of that. It wasn't like you were making bukus of money. You win a tournament, you might make 30,000.
Yeah, and the travel was a lot different back then.
Oh, when I had some backers from our club, you know how much money they gave me to go the first year? And I had plenty of money. $19,800. I mean, that was and hell, I flew most places. Now I could go to the West Coast. You didn't drive out there.
Yeah.
I did take my car down to Florida when they had the Florida swing. Heck, that was from Alabama. But, nowadays, shoot, they're flying privately. Most all of them. They got deals with NetJet or whatever. Those corporate.
I know Charlie had told me, he could make more money down around Orlando playing in the mini tour events than
He did. His nickname was the King of the Mini Tours. He knocked them dead, buddy. I don't know if you could make more money of that, but you really were playing for your own money in those things. Everybody put $500 up or $1,000, and then you play 3 tournaments, or something. But so, whoever organized the thing usually took a 10% cut or something. But you had a lot of players that thought they could really play that couldn't play at all. So it was like hunting in a baited field. Those things.
What was it, do you think, kind of maybe separated somebody like you or Charlie or Hubert from the other good players?
Gosh, I don't know. I'm not sure. If I knew, I probably would have been able to change some things. I mean, I was not a great putter, and I had a couple of decent tournaments. I played real well down at Jackie Gleason's tournament down in Fort Lauderdale one year, and a couple other tournaments. I played good up at Worcester, Mass. We played the tournament up there. I can't remember what the name of it was now. Then I had a couple. I made the cut at Riviera. And but I don't know. I'm not sure I was totally comfortable out there. I really did love I didn't mind the traveling at all. It didn't bother me to, do that. I was single, and got a lot of these people that are married, and that's a rough situation.
Sure.
It really is, because especially if you got a child and stuff. Oh man, that's a rough deal. But I get just that. I mean, there's a fine line in there, like anything else. Why does a guy hit 240 in the majors and some guy hit 310 or 320? I mean, there's that fine line in there.
That's true. You've referenced your putting, but I don't think it was so bad of a putter. It's just you hit so many good iron shots that
I
you
wasn't
just
a terrible putter. I mean,
close to make them all.
I didn't three putt much,
No.
but I didn't make enough of those 15 footers. I don't think. Yeah. So I mean, I played Lee Williams down at who was a Walker Cupper.
Mm-hmm.
We qualified, played 36 holes with them, qualified for the U.S. Amateur. And if I'd hit it where he hit it, I'd have shot 80. And he ended up shooting 70, 68. And I never seen anybody get up and down like he did. But, and he didn't make it,
Yeah.
So it's just, you got to realize now especially the way it is now, these kids come out of college, they've worked out with, they're strong. They've had teaching since they were in diapers, video their swings and everything. And, they're ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have any buffer time where they've got to work on their games and get comfortable. They're comfortable because they're playing. We didn't play hardly any tournaments. We played matches.
Mm-hmm.
We go play Auburn and Georgia and Mississippi State, Memphis State. We all, you have matches. But really about the only tournament we play in, we might play one tournament, then we go to the SEC. And that's it.
Yeah.
Who was on the team with you at Bama?
We had Joe Terrell,
Yeah.
Donnie Blanton, myself, Randy Saunier, Joe Freeman, Wheeler Stewart, Frank Vines.
Yeah.
Some of those are a little Vance Fulkerson, Brock Weiner. They were a little older than me, and then a couple others were younger than me. So all those kind of filtered in.
Yeah.
We had a good team. We were middle of the pack SEC.
Mm-hmm.
When you got off the tour and made a concerted effort to get back in your amateur status, tell us a little bit about that and how your game kind of evolved.
Yeah, there was USGA rule back then. If it took 2 years from the last time you played for money. So I had 77 was my last year on the tour, and I would still play in the Alabama Open, and I'd win pretty nice check every year in that. So finally, I just said, I need to get. So I really didn't play for 2 years, and I filed and got my amateur status back about June of 1983. And I still worked on my game, and I played in our club tournament, and that was about it. But I still love to practice and do things, and I think my game. I think I got more relaxed and more confident. I felt like I could beat those guys, while I was playing. So, that. I think that was one reason. I think I played better. Probably in about the late 80s, I played better than I played when I was on the tour. Had better scores.
You mentioned coming up and playing Florence Country Club in their invitational right when you got your amateur status back. Did you take care of that field?
I did not. I came in second to Don White. I shot 63 the first round. But I shot like 72, which wasn't terrible. Hell, he shot 64 the second day. But that's where he was from, and I think he felt like he was protecting his home turf, which I was. But that was my first. But made me realize, I didn't think much about the 60. I said, I can still. It wasn't a real hard golf course, but still, it was one of my better rounds I ever shot.
Yeah, Don White, he won his share of tournaments.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Don passed away, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah, shoot. I tell you, that's what's sad. You see, Mac McClendon died, Hubert's dead. Yep. It's just, tough.
Yeah, there's a trail of a lot of fine men and good golfers that have passed away.
Are. I mean, we got pictures in our 19th hole of people that have won the Invitational, and there are several of them that aren't out around anymore that aren't that old.
When going back to your time at Birmingham Country Club, what sets that course apart? I think it's the best course in Alabama. I like it better than Shoal Creek.
Well, I mean, I think they're both beauties. It's like who's the prettiest girl at the prom. I mean, Birmingham they're going to take a back seat, but neither the Shoal Creek. Both of them are great golf courses. I mean, it's just a good piece of land.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, that's one thing, and both of them got great pieces of land that they were able to put a golf course on. Donald Ross did the original deal, and he had back then he didn't have his earth moving equipment and everything. You needed to start out with something pretty good, which he had at Birmingham.
Yeah,
it is good.
When you were on tour, did any course stand out? And that's another thing. Now, I think when you mention the kids coming out more prepared, they've played all over the country.
Sure.
When you were playing, you probably rarely left Alabama, except well,
there was a tournament that LSU used to have a tournament down there, and it was a course that was right next to the stadium down there. And the wind blew like 30 miles an hour every time we played down there. But we didn't play much. We went to Hattiesburg for a tournament one time, and that was about it. Like that, we played the SEC, and if you played well enough, you got the NCAA's. But back then, if you didn't win the SEC, you didn't go to the NCAA unless you came in like the top 5 in the individual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which Mac won 3 straight years. Wow. At LSU.
These kids today play, they play all over the country. These college kids are all over the country playing.
Yeah. I mean,
you look at Nick Dunlap and what he's done this year. That's pretty phenomenal.
Pretty unbelievable, yeah. I mean, obviously, Nick winning the junior and the amateur. I mean, he and Tiger Woods only 2 people that ever done that. That's pretty incredible.
Yes, it is.
I mean, he's shown to be a really, really good player. I mean, he didn't have his A game by any means up in Memphis, and still came to the top 5. I mean, but he's obviously mentally very tough, and he can get it up and down out of a trash can. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well, continuing on with the amateur career.
Yeah.
You've played, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've played and almost won the Senior Am and you've played in the Senior Open, correct?
Yeah, I played the Senior Open 3 times. I never came close to winning it.
Yeah.
No.
Well, let's talk about your Senior Open appearances, and then we'll get to the good ones. Senior Am.
Yeah, I played the first one I played in was at Riviera, And the year before, Trevino had shot like 15 or 16 under par. It was somewhere up east. And the USGA says that's not happening again. And they grew that Kikuyu rough up at Riviera, and Hale Irwin won the tournament +1.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was a bear. If you hit it in that rough, it was just that Kikuyu, it really almost take the club out of your hands.
Ooh.
But, same for everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
We had a blast. I had a good friend of mine, my next door neighbor, matter of fact, came out and caddied for me. So we had our wives were out there, and we had a wonderful time. My wife's brother lives in LA, so it was nice. But
Good.
Riviera is one of my favorite courses. Riviera, Los Angeles Country Club, Butler National, all these are, obviously Pebble,
Mm-hmm. And where were the other two?
Well, one of them was Whistling Straits, and that was a great course. I might even remember sure who won that thing that year. And the Broadmoor out in Colorado Springs.
Mm-hmm.
And great golf course.
Yeah, the USGA doesn't usually go to bad golf courses.
No, we really didn't.
Yeah.
They were nice.
Well, recap the senior am. That was at Victoria National.
Well, yeah, I had several times. I played first year. Obviously, your age limit's 55.
Right.
So 2002, I played my first one down at Timuquana, which is in Jacksonville. Old Donald Ross golf course, really nice. And I came in 4th or 5th in the qualifier. Top played, low 64, made match play, and I was in good shape. Won my first round match, and just let one slip away. Got beat one down to the guy that I should have. He probably thought he should have beat me too, but I felt like I should have won that. So I got to the first round. The next year, I got to the quarterfinals. Then I got to the semifinals. Then I got to the finals. So I kept getting. I was hoping the next year after that, but didn't work out. But still, I had a pretty good record, I think.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Victoria National is one of my favorite golf courses.
Yeah, it was.
It's Fazio and
good friend of mine. Actually, one of the better rounds of golf. Qualifying, I shot 71 the first day, and I was in second place. And I figured I had to shoot 86 to make match play. So I felt like I was in pretty good shape. And that was the year I made it to the semifinals. And made it to the finals at a place called Flint Hills, which is in Wichita.
Okay.
And it was I think it was a Fazio course too. It was a great golf course.
Mm.
It was the guy who had Rent-A-Center was the owner of the course and was a big golf fanatic. And I was playing with an Oldemar driver back then. The company had gone out of business, but I hit it better than anything. And he came up and said, I used to own part of that company. I said, well, you made many bad investments in your life. It may have been one of them, but that wasn't that. But Rent-A-Center, I think, did better than that. And he went, oh, yeah, it did.
Oh, yeah. That's funny.
What was playing in the final match like in that one?
I played really well. There again, I didn't, I was one down going to the 13th hole, I think, and I hit it in. The pin was right in front. My ball lacked about 2 feet of carrying the green, and it just stopped right there in this heavy stuff. And he made bogey, and I had about a 6-footer to tie the match. I missed it. and then I lost. Next hole, I thought I hit a real good shot, and the ball did the same thing. It was cut behind a bunker. Didn't get it up and down. He went, and then he birdied the next hole, and then I ended up getting beat. I thought I got 4-3. I ended up losing, but I really played. It was a much more competitive. But he was a good player. He had played the tour the same time I had and got his amateur status. I got one named Stan Lee. He was a nice, real good guy, but he putted a little better than I did that day and played well.
How often did you change putters in your career?
Oh, shit.
Weekly?
I'd have to take my shoes off to start adding it up. Probably that wouldn't be enough. Yeah, I'd tinker around. Yeah, and back then, hell, Odie Chrisman was a big deal, and had cash-ins or things, and the greens weren't as, for the most part, were not as fast, so you really want to put a little loft on it to get it up on top of the grass. So the cash-ins probably had 6 degrees loft on them, But, I swapped around. It was always never the Indian, it was the error.
Oh, man. Just like to hear more of his matches with Krinkle.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Charlie, he'd come up a bunch when he was at Club and Country at Terry Pines. He'd come down and play. Charlie and I he likes to fish more than he likes to play golf. Especially now, neither one of us can play much anymore. I got a couple of private ponds I get us on down here in Birmingham. So he comes down a couple times a year, I guess, and we go fishing. And then it'll be who catches the biggest fish. Not who makes the most birdie.
Yeah.
I was going to say, who knows the better places to eat? Because Charlie knows all these off the beaten path places to stop and eat.
He does. We used to have a couple places where we played some mini tours down in Orlando, and boy, we found some spots down there that, like I say, were kind of off the beaten trail, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now, Hubert will always, and he would tell you that his really turnaround moment, Mac was the man growing up. I mean, Mac started winning tournaments when he was 15 and was just unbelievable. And they were playing in the Dixie Junior. I'm sure you played that some, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, there weren't a whole, like I say, there weren't a ton of tournaments in the summertime to play. But anyhow, Mac shot 70, I think, the first day, and Hubert shot 69. Mac shot 66, 65, and Hubert shot 65, 65, and won by 2 shots. And Hubert will sit there and tell you, he said, that really let me know I could really do it.
Mm-hmm.
Was Hubert his talent? I think you mentioned, he said he never missed a putt, a 4-footer to miss the cut.
Yeah.
Was part of his talent the ability to grind out scores when?
He was, but he won. He won 19 tournaments, I think, on the tour. But he didn't have that many top 10s. Hubert was one of those guys. If he got close, if he got a sniffing of the winning, he won. He wasn't scared to win. It's always been said more tournaments are lost than won. Especially in amateur golf. Good grief. I got more terms given to me. I said, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You just, somehow people find a way to lose.
I guess in that same vein, then, if he wasn't scared to win, he wasn't scared to lose either.
No, well, you can't be. That's right. That's a good point. Yeah, I would agree with that. He wasn't scared to lose. He didn't lose many times when he got in that situation.
Well, you're not the only one that has mentioned Mr. Gustin. Tell us some of your memories, if you can think of some about Mr. Gustin. I mean, he's been described by not only yourself but several as a pros pro, and I know that he was such a phenomenal ball striker.
Oh boy, like I say, we'd sit up here and watch him hit one irons. Caddy'd be down there, and he wouldn't break a sweat in a 100-degree day.
Yeah.
Picking his balls up, and just reach over from one side to the other. But Mr. Guston he was in the honor guard with the Marines going up, and he dressed that way too. And Hogan obviously was his hero. And Hogan would actually stop and watch John hit balls. He's the only person he would do that.
Mm-hmm.
But John would go out and play golf. It'd be raining and everything. He'd come back in, and he was still immaculate from head to toe. He'd always wear khakis. And the crease, if you touched it on his pants, I think it would cut your hand. It was so starched in there, and, shirt never had a wrinkle on it or anything. He was, like I say, he maybe worried too much about that. But he was good. He'd take time with him on the range, watch you hit some.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times I'd say, well, how you do that? He said, watch this. He'd get over and he'd hit 2 or 3 shots. I said, yeah, I know the way you're doing it now. I said, how do I do that? And he wasn't, like, not begrudging it. He wasn't a great teacher. He didn't really know how he did it. But he could do it. And he, would give you certain tips. So
actually, I think that's a trait of players versus teachers. Players just kind of don't really know how they do it. They just do it.
Yeah. And they don't.
Or at least
if you look, like even in famous football coaches, Coach Bryant was not a great football player, but he knew how to coach.
Mm-hmm.
Dean Smith didn't even start. Same thing.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's those kind of people that are not blessed athletically like some are. Like they said, Ted Williams said, hit a baseball. I mean, this is unbelievable. He said, well, you got to do this. Look at the seams. He said, look at the seams.
Yeah. I've heard that story too. Yeah.
So anyhow, but he was good. We miss him. We've been fortunate. Ben Freeman was a great guy, and Eric Eschman now we've got is just as good a person as you want to meet.
Well, Sam, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
It's been an honor.
Ever need anything else from me, feel free to holler at me. And I'm sure there's some other stories I'll remember.
Well, Greg, that was an awesome podcast with Sam Farlow. We're very lucky to be able to have him on the podcast. I thought that was very entertaining and very informative.
Yeah, his stories were so good. And, to be able to talk to a guy he's a legend in the state of Alabama when it comes to golf. So it was a treat to have him on.
Yeah, it was. And I think he enjoyed it so much that he's wanting to come back again. He's already sent a text how much fun that was. So that'd be great. And maybe we can get him and some of the other guys of his era on together and do a joint podcast at some point in the very near future.
That'd be awesome. Again, thanks y'all for listening, and hope y'all will listen next week when we have another outstanding guest.
Thanks again for listening to the Cart Barn Podcast.